The reason they fear nationalism when white people get banded together is because they apply it to World War II. They say, well, white nationalists do what Hitler did because he was a white nationalist. So they say that when white people get together and they're nationalistic, it's like the Nazis. When other people get together and they're nationalistic, it's not. Is this actually true? Is this the largest psyop in history? I mean, World War II has had such a profound effect on our culture up until this point now. You know, World War II is the basis for all good and bad in the entire world. If I say to you, name the worst person in history, you'll probably say Hitler. You won't say Stalin, who killed more, because he was on our team.
Or Mao.
Or Mao, who killed more. Now, I'm not sitting here sticking up for Hitler. I'm just saying that World War II has shaped the modern world, and they use it as an emotional trigger to prevent white people from sticking up for themselves. Guess what I saw in the car on the way here? A terror attack in Germany. A car attack. You see it?
Yep, this morning.
A Muslim ran over a bunch of white people in Germany this morning. But the white people in Germany can't band together to fight against it because then they are what?
Racist.
Nazis.
Yep.
Nazis.
Yep, for sure.
So they use World War II. Let me ask you guys a question. If they use World War II to subvert white nationalism to the point of extinction, wouldn't it be truly treasonous if the story of World War II wasn't even true? What if there's another story to World War II? Is it true, the story that we know? The version of events that we know? Hitler's just crazy and he just lost his mind. I'm asking questions because in my world, I understood that victors write the history. Winners write history. Winners are always the good guys. Loser was always the bad guy. Loser had no point of view at all. The winner had all the right thing and they were doing all the right things. So I'm just asking you, if this war is what's shaping the modern world and it is bringing on the ideology which is going to lead to the extinction of the white race, isn't it important we find out if the story we're told is even true? Let me apply this to modern time. If you listen to the media and the story they tell you, Putin's crazy. Putin's nuts. And he's lost his mind. And he has no point of view at all. And he has no reason to invade Ukraine. There's no possible reason. If you research, you'll understand he actually has a pretty good argument. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm saying that he has his beliefs. We have our beliefs. Some right, some wrong. There's no such thing as black and white. There are different varying shades of gray in every single conflict. But the Hitler story, the World War II story, is black-white. Because that's how the winners want to write it. And that's how it always goes when the war is over. And the story of Russia-Ukraine is black-white. Ukraine's innocent, we're innocent, Russia's nuts. But if you actually analyze things and understand them really, you'll see it's not that way. So this is a very interesting thought experiment. And that's what I'm doing before the media attacks me. I'm not advocating for anything. I'm not saying anything. This is a thought experiment. If one particular ideology is shaping society to the point where an entire race will go extinct, shouldn't we understand that period of history intimately? Yes or no? I would argue yes. And if that's the case, perhaps when we understand it better, perhaps white people might save themselves. Perhaps.
So I got a question, Andrew. When you were talking about, you know, the UK, and I mean, we do so many stories that, and you even mentioned that it's fallen. When it comes to the was it the Pakistani rape gangs?
Yep.
The Pakistani rape gangs that are doing their thing. In Germany, I remember we reported on this. A bunch of guys raped that 15-year-old girl in the park, and then the girl that went after the attacker on WhatsApp or Instagram, whatever, they went and they put her in jail. And then Keir Starmer and all these guys, it's as if this group is protected. They're covering it up and they don't want it to come to light. Why would they hide the fact that these guys were Pakistani? Why are they putting in jail the girl that's going after the guy, the Muslim guy that raped the girl, and not the guy? Then they walk out of jail.
So this is the problem, right? What they're afraid of is they're afraid of racism and of nationalism and highlighting the problems amongst a certain demographic and subgroup because they feel like it's going to build resentment, and it will. Mm-hmm. So their solution, and it will build resentment, and I'm not saying that resentment's wrong. It's quite rightful resentment. So their solution is, let's try and hide the problem. But I would argue that one of the key elements, one of the key backbones to a multicultural society is at least fair treatment under the law. Mm-hmm. How can you expect all these different types of people to live together if they're not treated fairly under the law? How does Dubai survive? Dubai's 80% immigration from people from all around the world, all different colors. Why does everyone get along? Why does everyone go there? Fair treatment under the law. It's a harsh law, but we're all treated the same, right? So in the UK, now we have a double problem. You have the problem of the natural resentment for the results of actions of people who don't share British values, on top of a double standard in the law they're using to try and hide the issue. This is a time bomb. This is a time bomb. That's why they're doing it, because they're scared of white nationalism, and they're scared of that because of the World War II story they've told. That's what they're scared of. White people are being replaced in real time. And you know, to lighten the mood a bit, my friend group is as diverse as possible, which means we have the best racist jokes ever. Because it's black guys, white guys, we got an Algerian guy. True friendship is racism, you know, and we're all, it is.
You're actually not wrong.
I have another kid and they're like, yeah, you're black. And like, we all make fun of each other. It's fun, right? But it's also very interesting. There are key ideological differences that we're not allowed to address or talk about, which are extremely important for a society. Like the average white family, I would argue, has a different approach towards their financial stability and their emotional investment towards children than third worlders. I would argue that point. You can call me racist, you can attack me all you want. Third worlders will have kids and just have kids. They won't sit and go, can I afford this kid? Can I put this kid through private school? Do I have a college fund? Is it responsible to have a kid now? If you just grab third worlders from anywhere, doesn't matter if they're black, brown, white, wherever. If you get third worlders from anywhere, they just have kids. So when you let them into a country, you have to be prepared for them to have more children than the native population. It would be responsible for a leader of any nation to sit down and say, no matter how many of them we let in, they will outbreed the natives. This is a math calculation that should be done if you're a responsible leader for a country. Am I right? But they refuse to do it. They refuse to even acknowledge it. So you let in 10% of third worlders, it's 10% for a while, but it's not for long. This is a decision you have to make. It's something you have to consider. It's something Europe refuses to even address. And they've let in a lot more than 10%, and more arrive every day. I think 1,200 people arrived yesterday on boats in England. I saw on Twitter. So it's nonstop. The only possible end result is the absolute replacement of the native population, which then begs the question, is a country a place on a map and a name, or is a country the people who live in it? Because I would argue that if you replace all the British people with people from somewhere else, it doesn't become Britain anymore. If you took all the Norwegians out of Norway and replaced them with Indians, would it be Norway?
Sure.
I don't think it would be.
No, that's the point. It changed. So, by the way, Rob, pull up this chart that shows the net migration for UK from 2019 to 2022. Watch this. So you see the orange color is non-EU coming in. The green color at the top is EU coming in.
Treason.
Watch this stat. You see the non-EU people coming in, flat, great. EU goes up, and then look what happens 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. The amount of people coming in every year from non-EU. So they're letting anybody else come in. Now, have you ever seen Dominik Tarczynski from Poland?
Yes.
He is being interviewed, and he's being asked about why Poland has the lowest rape, lowest crime, lowest unemployment. And here's his answer, Rob. Can you play this clip?
How many refugees has Poland taken?
Not one.
0.
And you're proud of that?
If you are asking me, if you're asking me about Muslims illegal immigration, none, not even one, will come to Poland. Not even one if it's illegal. We took over 2 million Ukrainians who are working, who are peaceful in Poland. We will not receive even one Muslim because this is what we promised.
But I asked not about illegal immigrants. I asked about refugees. And Jean-Claude Juncker, the Commission President, says that you're racist. You sound proud of the fact that you haven't taken any refugees.
Of course, because this is what our people are expecting from our government. That's number one. This is why our government was elected. But this is why Poland is so safe. This is the reason why we had not even one terrorist attack. Look at the streets in Poland. And we can be called populists, nationalists, racists. I don't care. I care about my family and about my country.
Rob, you can pause it. Go for it.
Islam is not an excuse to break border laws. I don't know why some Muslims seem to believe it is. That's why Islam has such a terrible name. You can't say, I'm a Muslim, so let me in. I don't have to obey border laws. I don't think that Islam is an excuse to disobey the laws of a country. I don't think it's an excuse to disobey border laws, because it's not an excuse to disobey the border laws in Dubai or Qatar or Bahrain or all these other Islamic nations. You think you can rock up to the border of an Islamic nation and say, well, I'm Muslim, so just let me in, I ain't got a passport? I don't think so. I would argue that some of the strictest border controls ever are in that region, which is why they have such a problem trying to relocate refugees and these kind of things. So it's really insane that the white Christian liberal will argue that Muslim refugees have an instant pass to their Christian countries when they don't have an instant pass to Islamic countries. It doesn't matter what their religion is. Countries need a border. And my Islamic faith, I don't feel, counteracts my rationality in understanding that countries need a border. In fact, if you don't have a border, you don't even have a country. It's the prerequisite to a country. If you can't draw a border of that country, it doesn't exist. So Europe is currently imploding. And when I say imploding, I mean imploding in basically every single metric. Crime's going up, wages are going down, energy prices are through the moon, manufacturing's going down. It's imploding. Why is it imploding? Well, it's imploding because it's being run by psychopaths. It's either being run by psychopaths or extremely ignorant individuals who are intent on only finding money to send to Ukraine for a losing war on repeat and shutting up anyone who wants to tell the truth about the things that are happening there. And then you have this sectarianism. You have all of this gender ideology and this identity politics, which is tearing the fabric of society apart, because when a Muslim will do something disgusting and heinous, like be involved in a grooming gang, instead of being disavowed by other Muslims, all the other Muslims seem to start screaming about Islamophobia. And then you wonder why the average white Christian has a problem with Islam. I'm the absolute opposite. If I believe, yes, I am a Muslim, yes. But if you're in a grooming gang, I think you deserve the punishment, the full punishment of the law. In fact, I would wish you to get caught in an Islamic country and see what actual punishment is. I think it's disgusting. And I completely understand. Also, this is another thing about rationality that people lack, right? No one would describe me as empathetic, even though I would like to think I am. But nobody would describe me as empathetic. But I completely understand, as a white Christian in the UK, why you would feel threatened by Islam. I understand it. And when Muslims go, you don't have any reason to fear us. Well, he's in a grooming gang, you rape kids. Yo, you're racist. Like, how can you not understand the concerns of these people? And why aren't you doing anything to address those concerns? If you're a guest in someone's nation, shouldn't you try and address their concerns? Mm-hmm. You know, when BLM was big, I was having an argument with a member of my family. I have the black side of the family and the white side of my family. And I was arguing with one of my aunts. And BLM was going crazy and everything was burning down. And she was saying that black people are not scared, they're not safe to get stopped by police. And she bought into the narrative fully. And I said, if that's the case, I would argue that holding large protests and burning things down is going to make it worse. Why don't you hold large rallies saying, we're Americans, we respect the law, we're citizens, and promote a culture of obedience to the law amongst Native African Americans? Wouldn't that fix the issue? I'm not saying that it's fair. She said, why should we have to do that? Life's not fair. I'm not saying you should have to do that. I'm saying, wouldn't it fix the issue if you promote obeying law enforcement as opposed to promoting burning everything down and disobeying law enforcement? Like, there's this weird idea people have of, why should I have to? That's not fair. Why should Muslims have to reassure? Why should black people have to do that? Yeah, there's lots of why should we? Why should I have to pay for a date? That's life. But don't we want don't we want solutions here? Or are we going to sit down and say, it doesn't matter about the solution, let's let the problem get worse because we shouldn't have to try? I think that's the biggest problem with a lot of the things we have in the world today. I would argue that the Muslims inside of the UK, if they had respect for the country they were in, if they had respect for the native population and for Christianity, should be doing a pretty good job or should be trying to make it clear that they are not a threat. Instead, they walk around and try their very best to scare everyone all the time. And then they wonder why Islamophobia exists. And as a Muslim, I will say that because it's obvious. It's obvious. But when I say that, they turn on me and they attack me. But it doesn't matter what they say. It matters what God says.
Tate, just curious. You probably very qualified. Probably one of the few people in the world qualified to do this because it's not a big number. If you look at how many people in the U.S. convert, Rob, can you go say how many people convert from Christian to Muslim in America? It's not a big number. And if you look at how many women left, more women than men, I think the number is such a small, there you go, roughly 30,000 people a year convert to Islam in U.S. The difference is they have a lot of kids and they have big families, so that's their strategy. Majority of that 30,000 are women. But you, as a man, an anomaly, you go from Christian to being a Muslim. So I know what it is to be a Christian. I know what it is to be a Syrian Armenian. I know what it is to be an immigrant. I know what it is to be certain things, and I witness it, right? When you were a Christian, what attacks or goods did you see that you're like, man, I never had that? Because I remember when we spoke when we were in Romania, you said, like, when I was at church, Muslims sent me letters, Christians didn't send me letters. I remember that conversation that happened. Mm-hmm. Now that you're a Muslim, what is the biggest difference of treatment, and does it kind of make you sit there and say, man, I understand why the Bible teaches tolerance for certain things?
Yeah, I understand the question.
What is the difference?
I understand the question, but tolerance is it's a double-edged sword.
I agree.
Right? Because it's tolerance that's allowed Christianity and the church to end up mocked universally across the planet and to not defend their lands. And the Christian thing to do is to sit there and allow your life and your race and your country to be destroyed because it's the Christian thing to do. So tolerance is a double-edged sword. I was an atheist for a long time, and then I became a Christian. I reverted to Christianity instantly because I believed in God, and I was born in a Christian nation. Then I decided to do some research on the different religions, and I found affinity with Islam.
Right.
But my affinity with Islam is between me and God. Me trying to please every Muslim on the planet is never going to happen because I'm never going to be able to make them happy. And there's always some of them who are unhappy with me. And there is a contingent of Muslims who like what I say, and there's some that don't like what I say. And that's fine. I'm not here to try and appease them. I'm here to be honest to myself and be honest to my religion and honest to my faith, and also be a rational actor and a rational human. And a lot of my views Muslims don't agree with because they throw their rationality away in light of group identity politics. And lots of people do this. It's not just a religious thing. We just talked about how black people did it with George Floyd and BLM. It's identity politics. They don't think rationally and they don't think sensibly. I try and prevent that happening. So a lot of the problems in the UK, yes, you can attribute some of them to Islam, but truthfully, you could attribute most of them to just simply third world individuals arriving of all different, whether they're pagan, it doesn't matter, voodoo,
last question,
it doesn't matter, and third world individuals arriving and them having no plan to integrate these people into society. That's the problem with Europe as a whole.
Tate, would you, if one day in the future you're living, you're evolving, you're a guy that's evolving, you got core convictions, but you're evolving. One day gets to a point where you're like, this is not changing. It's going to get worse and worse and worse, nastier on you. Do you ever fear, if you ever say, you know what, I'm going to be a Christian again, do you ever fear what would happen to you if you ever left the religion of Islam?
No, I don't. But I'm sure that would be a problem for them. I mean, I'm sure, I can imagine people getting angry if I did that.
You don't fear it if it...
No. If that's how I feel, then that's what I would say.
Nowadays, more than ever, the brand you wear reflects and represents who you are. So for us, if you wear a Future Looks Bright hat or a Valuetainment gear, you're telling the world, I'm optimistic, I'm excited about what's going to be happening, but you're a free thinker, you question things, you like debate. And by the way, last year, 120,000 people got a piece of Future Looks Bright gear with Valuetainment. We have so many new things. The cufflinks are here. New Future Looks Bright. This is my favorite, the green one. Just yesterday, somebody placed an order for 100 of these. If you watch the PBD podcast, you got a bunch to choose from. White ones, black ones. If you smoke cigars and you come to our cigar lounge, we have this high quality lighter cutter and a holder for the cigars. We got sweaters with the Valuetainment logo on it. We got mugs. We got a bunch of different things. But if you believe the future looks bright, if you follow our content and what we represent with Valuetainment, with PBD Podcast, go to vtmerch.com. And by the way, if you order right now, there's going to be a special VT gift inside just for you. So again, go to vtmerch.com, place your order, tell the world that you believe the future looks bright. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.